and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Grace Liu from Iskandar Investment Berhad and happy to be moderating today's first panel session. And the topic is very interesting, nurturing innovative and resilient workforce of the future. Now, before I introduce our panelists, I'm just going to give a little bit of background, right? In today's world, the pace of change is accelerating. And with the technological advancement and the recent pandemic, how we work and live have all changed. But one thing for sure, this has definitely speed up the adoption of new technology in organization and in our daily life. And with that, right, the drone industry market potential in APAC is expected to reach 17.9 billion by 2025, right? And with that growing market demand, the drone services sectors are expected to grow in the numbers of new SME. With that, the competition for the right talent is fierce, as the regional talent pool are limited in terms of the DroneTech skill set. So today, we're not just going to discuss about, getting the talent with the right skill set, but also in this fast-changing tech world, are our workforce ready for the new challenges that may come their way? And how do we nurture this talent? And how do we make sure that, they are constantly innovating and also resilient? So with this, we are truly grateful to have the leader of this field to join us on this session. We have three panelists today, and they are Mr. Kamarul Mohammed. So Kamarul, I believe a lot of you may have known him. He is the founder and CEO of Aerodyne Group, a Malaysian-based drone solution provider that is ranked second in the world by Drone Industry Insight of Germany. Now, Kamarul led Aerodyne from a 3-person startup in 2014 to a global company with presence in 35 countries in just 6 years. He's a TEDx speaker and a drone industry thought leaders. And he has also presented his idea and innovation on AI, drone, and Industry 4.0 around the world. He was named by Nikkei Japan as the CEO of the top 10 hottest startup in 2019. And more recently, Kamarul has been named EVA Entrepreneur of the Year 2020 in Malaysia. So with that, I would like to also take this opportunity to congratulate Kamarul and all the best in representing Malaysia at the world stage.
Thank you very much.
So next,
thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, Kamarul. So next, joining us from Singapore is Jinju Ong. Jinju is the CTO and co-founder of Garuda Robotics, where he currently leads the regulatory, product, cyber, and geo-AI engineering team. And Jinju is the project director of Future Flight Consortium of company to develop Singapore's first connected urban airspace management ecosystem for unmanned aircraft. So he is an outspoken supporter of enabling safe integration of drone into the national airspace, and is currently helping multiple local governments with drone surveillance, traffic management, and emergency response. Recognized as the CIO 50 by IDG in 2019, Jinju has worked tirelessly to normalize fleet management and risk management tools and UTM amongst commercial drone operators throughout Southeast Asia. Garuda Robotics was also appointed the first UATO by CAS to train and assess pilot in Singapore for UAPL and operationalize a drone operations center at Singapore's first drone test site at One North for BB-Loss operation. Thanks for joining us, Jinju.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So our third panelist, happy to welcome Dr. Kate Hugh, a supply chain strategist and assess pilot in Singapore, who's currently in Bangkok, Thailand. So Dr. Kate has a very strong background in supply chain and logistics. At IKEA Australia, she initially worked in the store while completing a managerial traineeship, progressing to warehouse management, inventory analysis, onto supply chain design. After leaving IKEA, she set up her own consultancy in Australia, focusing on understanding the voice of the customer, working with a wide range of companies such as DHL, Honeywell, Hudson Global, Australian Beef Industry, and not-for-profit, as well as working as a project manager for universities and government research projects. And Dr. Kate's interest is in empowering organizations with scarce resources such as startups, not-for-profit, and disaster response that needs to do more with less to successfully compete in today's competitive market, as well as helping organizations to embed innovation in the supply chain process. Welcome, Dr. Kate.
Thank you.
All right, so there you go, our panelists with impressive backgrounds and experiences that we can all learn from. Now, I would like to jump straight into the session. Hiring the right talent and the strategy for growth. So my first question will be for Kamaru. Now, Aerodyne has grown tremendously over the last 5 to 6 years. And now I believe that you have more than 400 men strong, or Aero Rangers as you call them, across 35 countries in just 5 to 6 years. So how many Aero Rangers do you plan to hire in the next 3 years? And how do you plan to grow your talent moving forward?
Sure, thanks. Very interesting question. Yeah, indeed, we are about 480 now. We plan to hire about 2,000 over the next 12 months, actually, for one of the another projects that we're working on. But those will not be on a full-time basis. But we are just venturing into a gig economy approach, where this is like working for Uber or Grab, so they can be for Aerodyne's cost in the near future for agriculture solution.
Right.
And the question was how, and the answer is slightly different in the sense that if you work for Grab and Uber, you have your own car. But if you work for Aerodyne in the near future, you can lease this expensive agriculture drone from us. Right? I mean, we are talking about drones that are 40 to 70,000 ringgit per drone. So we recognize that we cannot. I mean, for us to scale, we need to use a gig economy approach, right? Because that's the only way we can, scale very fast. What we're going to do is actually we're going to train them. We're going to certify them together with CAM, so that they know how to operate. They operate responsibly. We operate with the the UTM system, so that everybody knows where they're operating and all that. So not only we will create jobs, the target for phase 1, 2,000 jobs, create employment. A good level of income for rural folks as well. So the last 6 months we've been putting the system in place, and we're about to launch this in 2 months actually.
Right.
So that's one, and that this is on top of what we normally do, the infrastructure side. In January alone, I think we hire about close to 50 as well in January. So and that one is a straightforward thing. But still, since the theme of this conversation today is about talent and talent of the future, and it is something that is very close to our hearts as well, because it's indeed one of our challenges as well. We have a lot of talent that would apply every single time. Yeah. So what we need to do all the time is actually to train these talents internally as well. So that's how.
Excuse me, Kamaru. Can we get you to speak closer? It's a bit far.
Is it? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm done. That's the how.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Kamal. Very interesting. So I think we'll have to keep an eye on Aerodyne when you launch this in 2 months' time. There's like 2,000 Aero Rangers that you're looking at hiring the next 12 months. Wow. So next question is for Jinju. Jinju, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. So as Garuda is strengthening your market presence in DroneTech, right? And the number of industry players has also increased a lot right now, right? So how do you plan to position yourself as the preferred employer to ensure that you get access to the best talent and still a considerably small pool to stay ahead of the competition? You hear from Kamaru just now, he's hiring 2,000 already in the next 12 months, right? So
2,000 Aero Ranger, I think of 2,000 salaries to pay. As a business owner, I totally empathize with this. And as a company, we are not operations focused, right? In the sense that we are actually more technology focused. So our team is actually rather small, right, compared to Aerodyne. But our secret is this, right? We do not just draw from a small pool of people. I think that's a mistaken idea here that you only draw pools from people who are doing drones, right? In fact, 95% of our employees, right, do not come from a drone background, drone training. They actually come in because they believe in the business, they believe in the mission, And because of that, we actually have a diverse number of people come from different training, different backgrounds, and they can connect the dots. That's why we are, if you look at our product mix, we go from drone to UTM to a lot of different things across the board, drawing from different backgrounds. Now, so the main thing here is that there needs to be an action basically from the company to reach out to these people outside the drone industry. The three primary things that we do is, on one hand, we do a lot of the education side of things, the pilot education. So as you shared earlier on my profile, that we are a UATO, right? In Singapore, we are actually one of the first to train and assess pilots. The other part of education we do is on STEM education, right? So this is the part that maybe is not known outside Singapore, but our technologies is used within the universities, within the polytechnics, and we run a lot of internship programs, final projects. We do a lot of outreach into the secondary schools and so on, so that they know that drones can be a career. It can be a career not just from an operations standpoint, but they can build the drones, they can build the technologies around it. There's a lot of things that needs to be done around it. And finally, of course, outreach like this, right? So conferences and webinars like this is a place for us to share very specifically into different parts of the ecosystem, what else you can do, not just in operating the drone, but also creating certain technologies to help the whole drone ecosystem. So if I want to add a little bit more, right, it's actually the harder part is not just about bringing together the workforce, but also to retain them, right? One thing we do know that is the drone industry is coming hard and fast. But before this, if you look back in the last 8 years, I think we founded the company at the same time as Aerodyne in 2014. Things were going slow for a while, and there were people who started in 2014 saying that, yes, I'm going to start doing drone deliveries, right? Because Amazon put out a nice video about drone deliveries there. It's been so many years, right? To be able to keep on to it, to keep on to that mission and kind of stay through that, I think it's also going to be a very important differentiator, right? So I think one of the things I always feel very blessed with is a team who actually believe in what we're doing, believe in where the industry is going, and they just keep their heads down, keep the work, keep work going, solve every single problem, every obstacle that comes along the way. And hopefully, after all this, they don't go back to another e-commerce company or even go back to man aviation or something, right? They continue to believe in that drones can become the future that we all here are striving to be.
Thank you, Jinju. So not only you have to make sure that your workforce stay resilient, the founders themselves needs to be very focused and believe in what you're doing as well. Definitely, right?
Right.
So next question, Dr. K. Now, Flick operates in various industry and application in Thailand, from inspection to drone delivery. So how is your existing talent, right, able to work across these various verticals? And what's the strategy to acquire new talent with diverse market understanding?
Basically, the key thing is that we look at whether or not the people we employ have capabilities. So my background is not in the drone industry. My background is in supply chain. But I bring with that a lot of knowledge about business and business approach. So what we have is we've got a business model where we work with a number of smaller companies, basically around the world in different things, as well as we have a lot of interns that come in. And it's quite competitive for the interns because they want to have the opportunity to be able to work with a company that seems to be cutting edge in the drone industry. So I think the key thing that I learned when I was actually working in USA was that companies, even though they say they want someone with a certain degree, AI or know about drones and that, what they're actually looking for are certain capabilities and attitudes. So is this person curious? Are they willing to be able to try new things? Can they work in a team? And are they able to follow through to an outcome, not just say, tick the box, yes, I did that, but then they don't see the process moving on to the next stage. Because if you don't follow the process to the next stage, it all seems to drop through these holes. So I think the key advantage we've got these days is that people are looking at their employment, their lifestyle as being able to be almost like that portfolio lifestyle that a management thinker called Charles Handy talked about, and he talked about this in the 1970s, that people could work across industries with the same sort of capability, or they could bring to a new industry capabilities from an older industry and be able to see how it fits in together. So even though I'm not CEO of the company, I see very much our CEO, Michael Curry, putting together various capabilities of people from various industries to be able to have the outcomes that we're seeking. So it's quite adventurous, it's quite interesting to be in. We're not quite at your stage, Kamarul, of employing 2,000 people, and probably following more what Jinju said, that we are looking for individuals and seeing how they fit in with the company.
Thank you. Okay, that's really interesting, because that actually leads me to the next question, right? Because it's really about the mindset, right? If you have the right capability, you can actually cross industry. And I feel that skills can still be skill set right now may have evolved and changed as well as technology changes, right? But with that, the human capabilities, the mindset will need to pick up as well, as you have mentioned earlier on. So different from skill, right? Human capabilities such as creativity, resilience, loyalty, and empathy will be something that you might need to exercise so that you will grow stronger, right? So I believe that apart from just recognizing the skill set, it's also very important that we develop the other side of the mindset, the human capability part, right? And when we leverage that, you will then be able to multiply their ability to perform and create outcomes that will create more value. So with that, right, I would like to actually ask Kamaro the next question. Now, Kamaro, you have offices in 35 countries across supporting multiple industries. And building an innovative talent would then require the shift in mindset and also the right corporate culture. So now that you have your companies and offices across 35 different countries, right? What is your key culture in ensuring that your company's vision inspire your talent globally?
Definitely, and you hit it right on the spot, on the button right now. The diversity, the cultural differences, and all that, right? So but at the same time, this diversity is actually a huge asset to the company as well, because we notice different various different skill sets, various different capabilities come from, or rather the concentration and focus comes at different regions of the world as well. So this diversity needs to be nurtured, and we celebrate them as well. That we need to do is actually to bind all of these differences into one core or common language or common value, so to speak. And that's something that we spent the best part of the last 5 years to put together. And then, to be honest, it has not been an easy journey. Putting the congruency of vision, how we do things. Culture is really just that. Basically how we do things, right? Yeah. And it takes time to put this together. I would say since about a year ago, we reached a stage where okay, now we feel comfortable about even cranking or stepping on the gas and start expanding even faster. So the key to this is actually we have this thing called world-class culture that we nurture in the organization. Being world-class, we put it into 4 quadrants of what does it mean to be world-class. Of course, the first one is really the creating value, which is actually doing things right. It sounds simple, but doing things right. You deliver on time, you deliver quick, you meet the quality and all that. And this is something that sounds simple, but this is something that we talk about all the time, that it becomes our culture. So if the first one is actually doing the right thing, doing things right, the second one is doing the right thing. Because most of the time, you have people on the field representing Aerodyne, and you're making decisions. But when you're working, when you're doing your work, you are expanding. It's all about making constant decisions. You don't have time to refer. You need to to have the right mindset so that you can make the right decision all the time. So we focus on building that ability for our people to make, do the right thing as well. And of course, the third one, we really do focus about, about innovation, about accepting that, change is a must. Innovation, we must be a change agent. We must understand what's happening. So I always say to the team as well, if we say no to failure, or we say no to problem, we also say no to success. So we actually are asking our people to experiment. It's okay to make mistakes. So the idea here is that we need to be shapeshifter. We need to be able to understand and then keep abreast with changes and innovate and detect what's coming to the future as well. So we celebrate. In fact, I dare even say we even celebrate failure, because that means that you have tried something, and then keep pushing and then bring it to the next level. And of course, the fourth one, last but not least, is actually for every organization, you must have your own unique identity, and that's why we call ourselves Aero Rangers. Once you wear that badge as Aero Rangers, it's something that you wear it with pride, but what does it mean to be an Aero Ranger? I mean, if you look at any world-class companies, all of them have their own identity, brand identity, cultural identity, and all that. Again, I'm going to state something that I've already shared all the time. So if you go into the automotive industry, you look at Toyota, it's synonymous with reliability. You buy a Toyota car, it will last forever, kind of thing. If you go to IKEA, you buy parts small, cheap, good quality, but you assemble yourself. So what's Aerodyne? A brief description. For us, it's simple. It's no fuss, no drama, just deliver. So that's actually what we do. So our people are being trained. We've been trained to do this. Now, how do we do this? Is that we have this thing called Project Apollo, where we build leaders within organization. We identify 20 to 30 leaders at a time. We put them through workshop, through a program that lasts up to 3 months. It's all about going through all of this program. Why Apollo? Apollo is the Greek god of everything, from poetry to archery. So, and that's synonymous with the jobs of the future as well, because the future belongs to the polymaths. It's no longer specializations, but it's all about our ability to connect the dots. So again, we are bringing this understanding that in order for us to go forward, we need to have all of these traits and thinking and mindset in our mind. So that's in a nutshell how we approach this challenge.
Thank you very much. That's really great sharing, Kamaru. And I'm actually taking down a lot of notes here, right? I really like that. Do it right, doing the right thing and do it right. This is really something that everybody should also have it in their mindset, right? And that Project Apollo, I like that as well. And you have these leaders within your team. Thanks for the sharing, Kamaru.
It's a tough journey. It's not easy.
I believe so. 35 countries, right? All different cultures and different behaviors. It's not an easy task, definitely.
I sleep 4 or 5 hours a day.
Well, at least you still get to sleep. Okay, Jinju. So, okay, on Garuda's end, right? So I understand from your side that you also have all this talent that you are already nurturing, right? So, but how do you train them and to ensure that they are, I know you mentioned earlier on that, they share the same vision as you as well. But right now, with the ever-changing technological updates and all that, how do you make sure that they'll keep innovating and that they are continually coming up with new ideas and to stay resilient together with you?
So I think I want to just echo that. I think whatever Kamaru said is also pretty much held true in a company like us now, right? Culture is important. It's central to the team's effort to be able to produce useful things. But I guess maybe let me break it down to a few subgroups of people, right? Because we do have on one hand, because we are a startup, right, and we are basically a magnet, right, for a lot of these young hot-blooded engineers who think that they can build the next SpaceX, right, and then they come and join us. And they just want to see what they build fails, essentially, right? So I actually don't have to encourage them. They will come here with their research paper, they publish, they say, wow, this is the next big thing I can do in drones, and they realize that in the real world, the real product, it doesn't match up to aviation industry specifications, and that's it. On the other hand, there's always the people who are finding that, wow, it is so difficult to build drone technologies because the technology stack is so deep, right? You have the aerospace, then the onboard systems, then you have the back end, front end, you have the geospatial stuff, AI stuff, and all this, and it goes deeper and deeper as you go to regulation and so on. So some of them will then feel that, you know, I just want to be good at one thing, right? And I just want to do my part, right? Because I'm part of a chain of different engineering capabilities. And these are the people that I actually find that I spend a lot of time with, that I have to do this kind of one-to-one mentorship. Because you think about it, what is training, right? I can put them through an Apollo program, it's similar to what Aerodyne is doing, right? But some people, they say, no, just get a 10-hour class, you know, buy a Udemy course or something. To be honest, a lot of people who pass our minimum hiring bar, they don't need that, because 90% of the time, the course is about something they already brought to the table. They understand it from school, from their standard education. But on the other hand, you want to kind of engage them on the last 10% that help them connect the dots to the very last, say, maybe understanding why this thing works, rather than just saying that, okay, this thing that we're trying is working, to say like, what is the first principles? What are the very fundamental laws of physics that's making this thing work, right? And so on. And I think that is where I find that sometimes these days we talk about you know, like let's have education in a very mass format, or like let's get everything. I think that is kind of overrated in our craft. Our craft is really about apprenticeship. Whether you're doing software, hardware, you can't learn to tune a drone. I guess my aerospace lead has been telling me this, right? It's like, I know I can write down instruction manuals on how to do that, but in the end, the guy is following me to the field, and it is a bit of an artisanal thing to tune a bird so that it flies so well. And sometimes you compare it to like sushi chef, you know, who train for decades to slice the right sushi, you know. So I feel that those are the kinds of things that we do a lot in training and in talent management. And I think that's the part that sometimes it is not seen again outside of the company, it's outside between myself and the trainee. But I think that's the part that we really deepen the capability of the entire industry over time. So that even if the guy doesn't stay with me for a long time, I hope that then with that capability, he stays within the robotics industry, within the drone industry. And that's how we'll all get better and better at creating technologies from scratch.
You know, what I pick up from what you mentioned, Jinju, and also Kamaro, right? And it makes me wonder, because I actually read an article somewhere, right, that says that more and more young talent right now, they actually prefer to join the SME than corporates, because to them, they actually get to learn more. You know, like how you guide them, how you have one-on-one session with them. To them, I believe that is actually more meaningful, because they get to learn a lot more than to fit into a square peg, I would say, right? So I believe that is something that the last 10% is something that would make a difference in their career and in their life as well. The mindset would have totally changed. Thanks for the sharing. And for Kate, my next question is for Kate, right? As someone who has been working globally, Kate, I believe you have worked in so many different countries and have already seen workforce from different culture and background. Do you see any difference in terms of the regional, local talent compared to those in other markets? And are there any difference in terms of their mindset, in terms of, you know, talent coming from different country or background? And are they more resilient from one another, depending on the countries and the backgrounds that they're coming from?
Wow, that's a huge question. Basically, I see that it will vary with individuals within a country. You've got some people who, as mentioned by Jinju, where they would much rather be doing a very specialized job and not really know about the other parts of the process. And in a business, to be able to be successful, we've got to remember the end customer. So if we have a product, it doesn't mean people will come and buy it. We need to understand either how we're going to educate them that they need it, or how we're going to actually sell it. So when we have people coming into businesses, or my experience in education, it mostly is helping people to see the bigger picture, as well as they might have their specialization, but how do I see how what I do links to the rest of the business? And so some people are very quick to get that. They're very good at seeing the big picture, but other people would prefer to stay with what they know and like. So I think in answer to your question, it's not so much the different countries, but might be their educational exposure. If they've been given experience where those linkages are made clearer, that I'm not just studying mathematics, but how does mathematics link to science and other things, or I'm studying robot technology, but how does that fit into the bigger business world or in a warehouse or things like that? So part of being in an SME, we are having to help people see multiple viewpoints to be able to know how they fit together with other parts. And I keep on coming back to what you said earlier about mindset and skill is really important. We have a responsibility to help them move along in what they're doing. And also a responsibility to be patient. We've got about, in the office at the moment, 12 people. The company's bigger than that, but the people in the office today, I'd say there would be 7 nationalities, very different background. We commonly speak English as a common language, but not everyone speaks it as well as each other. And so I think being with an SME is really exciting, and there's huge opportunities.
Right. Sorry, Kate, can you probably move your microphone a bit away from your mouth?
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was
away,
told
yes.
to speak louder.
Yeah, okay, that's better.
Is that better? All right.
Yeah. So talking about that, right, Kate, then that would lead me to my next question. Do you think that we should then expose the young talent early in the world of work, right? And how to best prepare all this young talent to thrive in the workplace by introducing work into education? I mean, you are coming from the education background. I believe you'll be able to probably, help us to understand more. Do you think it is good to expose this young talent early in the world of work? Should we?
Well, from my background in Australia, when I went to school, everyone started a job when they were 13 part-time. Nowadays in Australia, most people's first job is after they finish their university degree. So part of the challenge, if you haven't been in a work environment, things like just being on time, basic interaction with people, how to talk to customers, is sort of lost, or it's a bit of a surprise to them, because in education they've been so focused on marks and getting feedback that they're not used to a place where every day they're not told that they're wonderful, they're great, and a lot of attention. Mostly in the workplace, you're nurturing them, but if they're doing their job well, you let them know, but you're not encouraging them every step of the way. So I think exposure to work or workplaces is important. I love the idea of internships. Even at school, when I was going through high school, we had work experience for 6 weeks at the end of every year of high school. High school in Australia is from the age of 13. So you got exposure from a lot of different places, but it also, thinking back, the places that hosted us had to be very patient as well. So there's a tension either way, but I think the earlier you can get exposure to work, whether it's with your family business, friends, work experience, internship, part-time job, it helps you to then be more resilient in a workplace when you get your real job.
I totally agree with that. As you said, it's not just about clocking in on time. And I think the young talent nowadays would really appreciate that, having the real working experience. I've got a few questions from the audience, from the participants. Okay. I'm going to ask this question, so I'll open it up to the panelists to see who wants to take this out. If a candidate that is from engineering background is now seeking a new opportunity in the drone industry, but the experience was from a hobby, which is a part-time aerial photographer. So would there be any opportunity for this person to apply for the job, such as in R&D or to be a drone pilot? I believe this is a very, very easy question to answer. Jinju, Kamaro.
Yeah, drone pilot certainly can be explored. For R&D, you need, unless a junior position, for R&D, you will need a little bit more depth to join that particular division, for example. But yeah, I mean, for drone pilots, certainly, and anybody can be drone pilots. Our pioneering team in Aerodyne were all in the culinary background.
Culinary background.
No kidding, our pioneering team, but not now, but they're still around. The 5 of them, they came in from a college, and they're doing well. But now they're doing things as well. So in other words, you can have all kind of backgrounds to be a drone pilot, so to speak.
Right. So from having a culinary background to becoming a drone pilot, and that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have one thing in common: they are all gamers.
Right.
Hand-eye coordination is important.
Well, again, those are my pioneering piloting team. Not what we have today. It's totally different today.
Right. So from the team that you have right now, right? Anyone that you can probably quote or mention that have got a culinary is really a totally different background. Any other background that's really very interesting that changed their profession from non-tech to tech?
Well, we have 2 Air Asia pilots with us now doing training, and for example, we have what else? We have all kind of things. Really, people can move. I mean, we have someone from medical background, a medical degree, now doing our solutioning, technical solutioning. So,
right.
Really, in fact, jobs of the future are meant again for polymaths. Is no longer. You need to know a little bit of everything. And a little bit of everything can come from anywhere. I mean, you don't have to go through a college degree to be good at something. Even if Google is doing today, they don't require you to go through 4 years of college degree, but yet go through 6 months of a fitting program for their requirement and perform immediately. And then you are saving 3.5 years and tons of money as well. Freeing yourself from debt. So things will be very different in the future, and it's already happening now.
It's already happening right now. I mean, we can't even define what future is in the next 2 years' time, right? So, okay, so talking about that, right? So when making your future staffing decision, what are the profile of the people that you will shortlist? Or can you name 3 key values that you will look for in hiring your future talent?
Can I just say one? Yeah, it actually depends on the role, on right?
Yeah.
For majority of the work scope, I would say about 70% of, I don't know, not 70, that's wrong. Maybe half of the job scope that we have, I'm looking for Jack.
You're looking for, sorry?
I'm looking for Jack, as in Jack of all trade master.
Right. I was like, Jet. I thought you were talking about Jet, Jet.
Yeah. I realized long ago that the infamous Mr. Jack is actually a good guy for the future, right? In the past, we are thought that go and do engineering or go your legal or medical and all that, right? But we found that this Jack of all trade are those that are able to connect dots. Right?
Looks like all of us will have to be a Jack moving forward.
Plus, not denying, we do need SMEs as well, subject matter experts in various verticals, and all that. But really, those performers are really the all-rounders. Yeah.
What about you, Jinju? What would be the profile of people that you would then shortlist, and what are the key values that you look for in hiring your future talent? Now Kamaru has already taken Jack, so it's like everybody with all sorts of multiple skill.
I go with my standard evaluation criteria, which actually I think published before. I mean, this is the standard framework, right? Brand aptitude, right? So autonomy, right? Mastery, purpose. We always look at people from whether they even want to be in the drone industry. A lot of people want to be in the industry just to learn things and complete themselves. And it's interesting, right? Because just like Kamaru, I've interviewed a lot of SQ pilots in the past few months. A lot of them will let go from their jobs, and this is basically a global phenomenon, right? My first question I asked them was, if the moment SQ offer you back the job, are you going back to SQ? The answer is yes. Then I find it very difficult for us to then take them in and groom them into become a drone pilot, and they leave in 6 months' time, right? So
Yeah.
it's because I don't think we pay like SQ. Like Singapore Airlines, like Malaysian Airlines, it's different, right? It's a different, this industry is a different maturity. So yeah, so it's very interesting that we spoke about pilots, but generally we do hire people across board as well. Again, I quote a point about education being one part that is sometimes not super relevant for a lot of the jack of all trades kind of jobs, especially in operations, in our academy. Like we have instructors who are previously policemen and things like that. It's a very different environment where they pick up and learn and be able to become instructors. It's usually the hard engineering side. We talk about R&D. Maybe I dive in a little bit more on that. That sometimes it is not so much what you learn in school, but what you actually do in school. If you understand what I mean. So a lot of the school classes, they teach you the fundamentals, right? They say, okay, mechanical engineering is this for aerospace engineering, so on. Especially our aerospace colleagues, right? In school, they still learn about major aviation a lot, right? How do you make a landing gear of a 747 and so on. And a lot of these things, if they do not then go outside the classroom and experiment with drones, it's not exactly directly translatable. They need to understand mine aviation in a very big way. On the other hand, there are people who are in the, let's say, the software side, right? They do AI, machine learning, and so on. Same thing, right? There might be certain things that they are trained in school very much based on, let's say, again, they're doing AI things, right? So people talk about recognizing dogs versus cats. Here, then they come in and they start looking at data sets. All the drones are flying at 60 meters in the sky. Everything is so small. All the standard things they learn from school is kind of broken down, right? And they have to say, okay, now how do I apply AI, machine learning, deep learning, in drone data sets? So they have to completely change the way they approach the problem. And people who then say, okay, look, I tried all my textbooks formula, it doesn't work. Then that's not going to work, right? So usually those are little things that I look for. Not exactly jack of all trades, like what Kamaru said. It's more of being able to solve problems as you see, without making any preconceived assumptions, right? And a lot of the engineering problems you solve are like that. It is not difficult. It's not rocket science. We have yet to build a rocket. Maybe someday we will. But it's as close as it gets, okay? And you just have to kind of look at a problem and say, look, this is not the standard formula. I just need to approach it from the first principles and reach to the actual solution by experimentation, by testing, and also by making new assumptions about the system. So yeah, those are roundabout way to answer the R&D question.
So I see a hand from Farhan. Farhan, you have something to say? You raised a hand.
Yes, I do. But just for everyone's information, I think we may have just 1 or 2 minutes left. But I have a question for the panelists, because I'm a jack of all trades as well. So if you're looking for one. But I got this question from a lot of people, when you go into an industry, so especially for those who are still considering where to go in university, for example. So do you go for a specific university? For example, like drone, there is no exact course in university for drone at this point of time. So usually we want to look into a certain domain expert, where you work into that area. For example, if you are an oil and gas guy, a mechanical guy, so you work in a university as a mechanical engineer, or maybe electrical engineer in the specific oil and gas industry. for a few years, and then only you go into a specific role inside a technology or a drone company. So would you advise those who are in your university, do they go directly to apply for a drone pilot job at this point of time, or find a domain expert that they can be good in, then only work in this drone industry? Well, what do you think?
If I don't mind, I go first, right? So I think the general answer here is that there's also no such thing as just a generic drone pilot. Once you pick up piloting, you go into oil and gas, you need to learn oil and gas. And then you start flying in refineries and so on, and there's actually a domain. You go into facilities management, it's a different domain. You go into agriculture, it's a very different domain. The drone is just a tool for you to achieve that, right? So that's from the piloting and operations standpoint. Similarly, in R&D, right? If you're going to come into the drone industry and you say, I want to be good at communications, I want to be good at the airframe, there are different specializations. So there are jobs that are very specific to these things, and you should look out for these things as well. It's definitely fun to come as an intern or first year just to try everything, but definitely find your specialization so that you can stand on that depth. Yeah, that's the short answer.
For me, I think a lot of people are looking for their dream job, the first job they go to. And I've often found that just in life, if you're in a job, it's easier to get another job, a new job. So even if you're doing part-time work in an associated industry to what you're interested in, it's easier then to move into what you want. If you've already got some work experience, you're already working or have knowledge about it. So I have to agree with what's been said, that there may not be that certificate you can get, but you can do a lot of things and look at the capabilities that you need to develop in your own life so that then you have them when you go for that position that you're after eventually.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that as well. My advice would be people should pursue what they are most passionate about. Explore that, do that, because at the end of the day, if you're talking about drone piloting, you don't need much to be able to be a drone pilot, right? In fact, I would even warn everybody, drone pilot is already a dying profession, really. All right, in the future, drones are going to be autonomous. Drones are going to be on
automated.
Yeah, don't have this in your mind that you want to be a drone pilot. Probably another 5 years or so, this job description will exist, but beyond that, no more. Drone engineer, maybe, drone operations manager, but not drone pilot. It's already a dying profession.
Thank you. So I think we've come to the end of the session. Good sharing and really very interesting discussion. Hopefully we can do this again in the near future. And I've really took down a lot of notes, a lot of learning for me as well, right? Keep the passion burning, find your specialization, do things right. So thank you very much, Kamaro, Kate, and Jinju. So we'll catch up again soon. I'll pass this floor back to Farhan. Over to you, Farhan.
All right. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you, Kamaro. Thank you.